Okay, so next up we have Uvre Limited. The company is uncovering the next potential gold discovery in New Zealand's Hauraki goldfield. Presenting for the company today is Executive Chairman Brett Mitchell. Brett, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to present the Uvre Limited, soon to be renamed Minerals Exploration Limited story to you all. I'm the executive chairman, and this company was a spin out of Delta Lithium just around 4 years ago, and we listed on the back of a US uranium project, but most recent, and after exploring that project for a couple of years, I moved to executive chairman 12 months ago with a view to finding a suite of new lead projects and a team to take the company forward. Through that transaction, were introduced to Norm Seckold and his team that have had amazing success of taking exploration projects through to production. Norm's a very, very well-known mining investor and entrepreneur and business builder. He's taken six exploration mining projects into production over his career. And Norm and not the Norm-backed team of geologists Peter Zittinen and Jason Beckton had put together a very compelling suite of brownfields and gold and greenfields gold projects in New Zealand over the past 3 years. Which we acquired in July this year. And now we have just started recently in the last 2 weeks drilling our first exploration holes at our lead flagship project, the Waitakauri Gold Project in the Hauraki Goldfields in New Zealand. We're into our first hole, and this program is going to run for about 3 months. And it's the reason that we're so excited about this is that it's a brownfields project located in a gold district that's been operating for over 150 years. In terms of the New Zealand itself, the reason that we were looked to pursue these projects here is that it's had a long history, both in the Hauraki goldfield in the north of New Zealand and the Otago goldfields in the south of New Zealand, of over 150 years of gold production. It's a jurisdiction that hasn't been looked at really by the junior explorer market in over the last couple of decades, and that's because of New Zealand taking a very, very pro-environmental stance in the 80s and 90s, which led to junior explorers shying away from spending limited time and resources in exploring such projects. But what's happened in recent years is New Zealand has started fast-tracking approval processes for these projects, and because they haven't been subject to the exploration activities over the last couple of decades, there's a lot of very, very high-ranking exploration projects that haven't been touched, and which led to Peter Zittinen and Jason Beckton acquiring these projects and putting this portfolio together, which made it so compelling for Uvre and its shareholders. The other thing that has changed a lot in recent years is the regulatory regime in Australia from a mining perspective. And I'm from Western Australia. I've been worked in the mining industry for over 25 years. And West Australia is, as most of you would know, and Australia as a country, and then as a nation, we consider ourselves a leading mining nation in the world from an investment and exploration innovation perspective. Because of the rise of red tape and green tape in Australia over the last 4 to 5 years, we've now see ourselves considered by the Fraser Institute as ranking behind New Zealand and the Philippines from an investment attractiveness perspective. And that's because of that rise in the regulatory confinement and the length of time to get projects approved in Australia now compared to places like New Zealand, which is quite surprising, but it's true. In Western Australia now, 4 years ago, it took 18 months to get an exploration license converted to a mining license. Now it's 4 to 5 years. So that's another one of the change in the regulatory regime, the attractiveness of New Zealand to get projects up and running, combined with the fact that for the past 2 or 3 decades, a lot of early stage brownfields and greenfields projects hadn't had the exploration activities, led us to acquire this opportunity. A corporate snapshot of the company. We're currently just got under 200 million shares on issue. We acquired Uvre, acquired Otter Gold for $6 million of equity. In ordinary shares, there was no cash consideration. There was no incentive equity as part of the transaction. We also raised $4 million through Bell Potter alongside that. Both those transactions were done concurrently at 8 cents a share. We're currently trading at 21, 22 cents a share. So we've had a very, very healthy re-rating in our share price over the last few months following completion of the transaction and getting our first exploration activities at our flagship Waitakarri project into operation. We've got a very healthy cash balance. We've just put our quarterly out today. And we've got nearly $5.4 million of cash in the bank. So we're not coming back to the market shortly. We're well funded for a couple of years of exploration activities ahead of us on our five or now six projects in New Zealand. The board of directors touched on myself. My background is corporate finance, capital markets, although I've been working in the resources industry for 25 years. Norm Seckold is probably a man who doesn't need a lot of introduction to many of you. He's a very, very well-known and very successful mining investor and business builder. He's currently the executive chairman of Nickel Industries, which is about a $3.5 billion market cap, and Alpha HPA, which is $1 billion market cap. So his success speaks for itself. Peter Nightingale has worked alongside Norm for a couple of decades now, alongside many of their companies, including one of their first big discoveries, which went into production, Bolnisi Gold. And Alex Parsons is a non-executive director who's been on the board with me for a couple of years. The management team is led by Peter Zittman and Jason Beckton. Importantly, both of these gentlemen are epithermal gold experts. Peter Zittman has worked in underground epithermal gold mines in Europe for 10 years. He's a published author on epithermal gold deposits in Europe, and he's worked for over 20 years in these deposits, and was drawn to New Zealand because of the epithermal gold opportunity, and has been looking and putting projects together in New Zealand for over 5 years. Jason Beckton's worked in the Norm Seckold-led team for about 15 years. And Jason was key in putting these projects together, and especially the Waitakarri project. The Waitakarri project, why is it so interesting and important? It's our flagship project. It's located only a kilometre west of the Waihi mine, and that's the headquarters of Oceana Gold. Oceana Gold is a $4 billion market cap company. Its projects in New Zealand and the Philippines, led by the Waihi mine and its WKP discovery in the Hauraki goldfields, and also runs and owns the Macraes mine in the Otago goldfields in the south, which has produced over 8 million ounces. Waitakarri has historical production at very high grades. These epithermal deposits they don't need to be big deposits because they're very high grade, and historically the Waitakarri projects produced about 30,000 ounces and nearly 48 grams a tonne. As you can see here from this image, the Waitakarri project sits very, very close to Waihi. The Waihi mine, or the Martha mine, and the underground has produced over 12 million ounces to date. In this whole belt of the Hauraki goldfields, which has been running for 150 years, there's been 60 operating mines that produced over 15 million ounces. In the structural trend that we sit in, there is 4 1 million plus ounce deposits, which is led to the north of our project by WKP, or Waikiraponga, which sits about 6 kilometres from our tenement boundary. Sorry, technical glitch. 2 million ounces at 14 grams a tonne. We sit directly on the same structural trend, about 6 kilometres to the north, and their recent exploration results from WKP include 4 metres at nearly 44 grams. And 8 metres at 12 grams, and that's a step out drilling away from their main deposit of over 2 million ounces at 14 grams, about 500 to 800 metres southwest towards our boundary. We've commenced drilling on our project here at Scotia South, and we've got a 3,500 metre program underway, which started 2 weeks ago. We initially started at the Scotia South deposit, where we're sitting on some outcropping epithermal veins here, never been drill tested. Basically a wildcat hole, which is unheard of in this part of the world for epithermal projects. The rest of the program will be targeting the deeper extensions of the known mine at Jubilee and Scotia, and the workings, and where the geological strategy is to drill deeper underground the workings, which extend down to about 150 to 200 meters, and we're looking for 50-gram-meter intercepts. So it's 10 meters at 5, or 5 meters at 10. They're the intercepts that we're looking for to look for an economic deposit there. In the south, we have two brownfields projects led by the Invincible mine. It's in application. This is it's a brownfields project. It was mined back in the early 1900s at 30 grams per ton gold, and interestingly, it has a tungsten gold mineralisation in the hanging wall zones, which is very akin to what the signature that you see at Macraes and Bendigo there. We also have the Otarahua project, another brownfields project, which produced over 100 years ago, which has had no modern exploration, which is the key thing at all of these brownfields projects that we're looking at. And this will be the first project that we look to do work on in the South Island, and probably start drilling on this project first in Q1, and with the plan to, in the first half of the year, be drilling both at the Otarahua and the Invincible projects during the first half of 2026. We have a couple more early stage exploration projects at Roaring Meg and at Lawton Point, but they're lower ranking in terms of our priorities, and we're focusing on our three brownfields projects. So just to wrap up, we've acquired a compelling suite of brownfields gold projects, led by Waitakauri in the north. They are compelling because they haven't been exposed to modern exploration underneath the old workings, which have been producing very high-grade ounces. We've commenced our exploration activities already at Waitakauri. We'll be drilling there for the next 3 months and probably ongoing. That's just the first phase of the program. We're well funded. We'll start our on-ground exploration activities on the South Island projects in November, with drilling programs to start there in Q1, Q2. So we've got to have a lot of news flow. The turnaround for assays, which is very important, is 2 to 3 weeks, and there's a lab just only 10 kilometres away from our Waitakauri project at Waihi. So we're going to not only have drilling news and activity, but we're going to have results coming through starting in November. So we have an exciting program of activity ahead of us, a lot of news flow and a lot of results in a well-endowed gold province of high-grade epithermal and orogenic gold. So thank you for the opportunity, and we look forward to bringing a lot of news flow to the market over the coming 3 to 6 months from these programs.
Thank you so much, Brett. So just before we jump into questions, I do want to mention to our audience that there is a QR code in the webinar chat where you can check out all of the company's presentations. So let's jump into questions now, Brett. You've recently completed a $4 million equity raise, leaving the company with around, as you mentioned, $5.4 million in cash today. How does this position you for the upcoming exploration cycle, and are there likely further raises as you ramp up activity?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. So we're very well funded, so we don't need to raise any more money from the market, which is a great position to be in. We will at some stage in the future obviously need to raise money, but for the next 18 months to 2 years, we're very well funded to be able to drill aggressively, both at our Waitakauri project, which we've already commenced and have ongoing drilling there, and do exploration activities on our lead South Island projects as well.
Fantastic, Brett. And you've also indicated that maiden drilling will commence in October 2025 at the Waihoraki Gold Project, focusing on historic Jubilee, Scotia, and Sovereign mines. How is the program structured, and what are the key milestones that investors should look out for as it progresses?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Yeah, so we've actually started on the 11th of October, and we started drilling our first. We're nearly at towards the total depth of our first hole of about 180 meters. It's diamond drilling, so it's not quick drilling like we're used to here in Australia with RC operations, averaging about 15 to 20 meters a day. So we've started that program there. We moved from the Scotia South first hole onto the Scotia mine itself will be our second hole, and then followed on by Jubilee. And Jubilee will be the focus of this operation, which was which has produced very high grade historically, and very, very strong channel samples that we've just announced recently. At 13 meters at 80 grams, which is incredibly, and it was trenching along the channel, but we're looking to drill underneath those to find further mineralization and deposits under those lodes that were mined nearly 100 years ago.
Brett, thank you so much for your time and for your presentation today. We will be keeping a close eye on the company and what's to come.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.